Hey everyone, and welcome to Mellow Makes. Today we're embarking on a journey, a very slow, slightly grumpy, moss-covered journey. After all, today we're going to be building a Torterra. But not just any Torterra. We're going to give him his own little ecosystem, complete with a few tiny friends. Let's get started. First up is the big guy himself. I kinda commandeered my mom's 3D printer to print this, but it only took 14 hours, so it's fine. Then comes the moment of truth, snapping off the supports. With our noble land turtle free, it's time for paint. We start with a base coat of earthly brown. Now it's time for that iconic green shade. This is where Torterra really starts to look like himself. Now choosing the right green was surprisingly hard. Is it a forest green? Is it a monster green? Is it a moss green? I don't know. The struggle was real, but I think he turned out really well. After several layers, I found the shades and the colors that I really liked. Next up, I give his toes and his back a shade of gray, and then paint on a dry brushing of a lighter gray on top, so that way we can see all those lovely little rocky details. Let's not forget to give him a pedicure. After all, he's been walking around for ages. Next up, I add a dark shade of, well, my blackest black to his nose and his eyes. With our Torterra looking fabulous, it's time to build his mobile ecosystem. First up, I fill the space on his back with good old tinfoil. Tinfoil is light, cheap, and it makes satisfying crinkly noises. Also, it keeps his weight down so he's not super heavy. Next up are 3 sharp, jagged rocks sculpted from Sculpey clay. They're going to be these ancient mystical mountains that were on his back. Or, you know, just some cool rocks, whatever fits your narrative. Once the mystical rocks have been baked in my not-so-mystical oven, we can go ahead and slap some gray paint onto each of them. Now it's time to move on to one of the most important parts of this project. It's the tree. I ask you, what is a Torterra without a tree? He would just be kind of bald looking, I think. So I go ahead and grab some wire and wrap it in aluminum foil. Then I shake it until even more branches are spawned. This is where I truly connected with my inner Bob Ross. Happy little tree branches. Happy little tree branches. Once our form has been made with aluminum, we go ahead and cover it with clay. Next up is adding texture. I use my ball stylus and push in and then roll down slowly. This helps to kind of create some lines that look like bark after it's all done. More cartoony style for sure, but I really do like how it turns out on most of my pieces. While the tree bakes in the oven, I go ahead and turn my attention over to the rocks. They all get a light dry brushing of a lighter gray, followed by another dry brushing of an almost white color. This helps to really show off all those spiked edges and hidden details. Here's a comparison. With our tree out of the oven and only slightly singed on the tips, we go ahead and give it a nice brown base coat. With the base coat barely dry enough because I'm impatient, I go ahead and start dry brushing on lighter shades of brown and brighter shades of brown. This really helps to show off that texture that I worked really hard on. Now that we've collected all the infinity stones, and the infinity tree, and the Torterra that it all goes with, we're gonna go ahead and slap it all together. Alright, he's looking pretty good, but he's got a lot of cracks, and the shiny is not what we're going with. So let's go ahead and move him off to the side and grab up our one-time spackling paste, our brown and black paint, and a few different textures. To make our dirt mixture, we go ahead and add the spackling paste, a few globs of brown paint, a healthy squeeze of black paint, and all of our different basing materials into it. Then we just have to mix it all together. Become the human blender you were meant to be. This stuff is basically like a magic dirt mixture. Now, I slather that glorious mud onto his back. This is the messy part, but it's also one of the most satisfying. It's like giving Torterra a really good, textured mud bath. He looks thrilled. You can tell, right? After I finished slathering the mud on, I gave it about an hour to an hour and a half to dry, just until the top of the mud started to get kind of crusty. And now I'm going to go back and use my fingers to kind of just press down all the tips and all the pokey points. I don't want it to be standing straight up, and you can tell it's not getting on my fingers or anything, but I do want to make sure that it all gets pressed down. Once that was mostly dry, it was time for the vegetation. A layer of forest green static grass. This will really bring the whole living shell concept to life. Pro tip, do not sneeze while applying static grass unless you want a green nose and an itchy face. Just trust me on this one. I totally didn't learn from experience or anything. Now, I'm not 100% sure how the static grass works, but I do know one thing. It's frickin' magical. Our moving mountain does still need a tree canopy, so I went ahead and grabbed my foam and started slicing until I found a shape and an angle that I was happy with. I ended up with something like this. With the purple base on top of him, I could tell that I really did like how it looked, so I turned it green. And then it was time to cover it with some foliage. And this is what it looks like. He's gonna have such a cute haircut when he's done. At this point, I was thinking he looked perfect, absolutely majestic. But then this thought struck me. He needs friends, because every Torterra needs tiny Pokemon pals to help him complete his journey. So I went ahead and made a bunch of little ones. There are a ton of different forest Pokemon that ran through my mind, but there was one that stuck out to me the most. A furret. They're just so cute, and they're long, and they're slinky, and I'm sure most of you have seen that little running animation where it's music with him, and it's so cute. And I just had to add him on my statue in some way. So I went ahead and made it look like he was sleeping. I added his feet and his ears, and then I went ahead and sculpted in 2 little closed eyes, and then set him off to the side to work on the next tiny terror. Oddish was a little on the tricky side for me, but I ended up sculpting a little ball of clay and added 2 little feet, and then used my slicer to cut out 5 leaves. Then I just pressed all the leaves together and added a little bit of texture to each leaf. After Oddish was completed, I went ahead and started making a Charge-a-bug. I added lines on each side of the cube, and then I did his little face details. Then it was time for the tiny paint job. Using acrylics, I gave each of them their signature colors. This is definitely where my eyes started to cross, and I questioned all my life choices. But look at them! They are so worth it! They're all so cute! Adding furred stripes was easily one of my favorite parts of this project. It just really pulled her all together and made her look super duper cute. And since I have all my paint out, I also went ahead and worked on the eyes. This is where the magic happens. Every model maker knows that the eyes are everything. One wrong brushstroke and he goes from majestic guardian to, well, a perpetually surprised meme-worthy creature. But I think I nailed it. He's staring into your soul, demanding the berries. Now that we have Torterra, Oddish, Furret, Charge-a-bug, and a few other details, we're gonna go ahead and put them all together. And there you have it. This is my magnificent mobile Torterra diorama, complete with his own miniature ecosystem and a very adorable crew of tiny Pokemon. This was a wild ride of sculpting, painting, and pretending to know what I'm doing. I hope that you enjoyed seeing this come to life as much as I enjoyed, and occasionally stressed over, making it. If you like this video, please hit that like button and subscribe for more crafting adventures. Let me know in the comments, what Pokemon would you have put on Torterra's back? Thank you all for watching.